Powerboat Racing, we haven't had that ever on the program before with Trevor and Maggie Ackerman. And Powerboat Racing is on the up now. It used to be very big, probably about 15 years ago. And they're starting to make a big comeback, providing good sport, and a lot of families are getting involved. So Trevor Ackerman and his wife Maggie will be telling us all about the Powerboat Racing.
Motoring today with Rodger Mcleery.
Well, something a little different now. We're going to just talk powerboat racing. It was very big in the scene a few years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, but now it's starting to be revived and bringing entries and getting kids to come and race, and the parents, of course, are in there, and a couple of Formula One powerboats. Now, we've got with us today is Trevor and Maggie Ackerman. Maggie, unfortunately, got flu. But so the season, the last meeting was at Germiston last Saturday, and the entry looking good there, Trevor.
We had quite a good lineup. We had 7 F1s. We had, on the hot bottoms, we had about 8 entries. Our juniors that we focus on currently is we had about 10 junior pilots racing for the day in the junior class.
Yeah.
Our GT15s, we had about 6 pilots, and our F50s, we had about 7 pilots.
That's good.
So our juniors are picking up. We're getting the future of the sport back up and going.
Yes. How long has it taken? Have you started going this year, this season? Because of the last meeting of the year, have you found this season made it all pick up?
Like with the COVID, we had a bit of a drop. Different race, so that killed the sport a bit. But if the new season started last year, we're picking up. We're getting new pilots. We've got a couple of new pilots coming up for a new season as well. So we are picking up on the pilot side.
Very good. You know, I remember the old days when Peter Lindenberg was racing with Fred Steinberg. They were an absolute competitive pair of people. God, they were. And we used to have nationals and internationals, actually. But you know, the one thing I've just noted, they never went to Germiston Lake to race. Why was that?
Germiston Lake was used by the Formula Ones years ago. Peter Lindenberg raced there. We did race there years ago.
Yeah.
You're talking about Peter Lindenberg, who had National Port Authority sponsor behind him and Ian Mayfield and all those guys.
Yeah, Ian Mayfield.
Fred Steinberg was racing for Speed Shift Transmission. They were running on the Germiston Lake. Yeah, we had a lot of racing there, and it started closing up because the lake privatized.
Oh, really? And what did they not want the noise and not the people walking around, or what happened? What is the reason?
That was one of the biggest reasons. We've got two clubs on the water there. We've got a boating club, the Germiston Aquatic Club, and VLC, which is the boat rowing club, and then that. So obviously there was a bit of an argument and fight between the two of them, who's got water. That's being sorted out now. We're very holding hands, doing all the sports together. And obviously being the Germiston Lake right in the middle of town, the Formula One did make a lot of noise. We had parades and that, which drew the crowds, but the noise was still a pollution.
Listen, I love the sound of those engines, those big Mercury V6s. That was lovely, man. Anyway, not everybody likes the sound of our racing. Now, listen, I'll tell you where they used to. Of course, Benoni was the big one, often Loch Vaal, Albert Falls down in Maritzburg, Sikufla in Cape Town, Port Alfred, Durban Harbour. I remember commentating all these places, Hartbeespoort Dam. So they used to go around the country in a big way, and it used to get good crowds in there, right? How are your crowds going at Germiston on Saturday?
Look, Saturday was a bit of a bad one, let down for us. The previous race at Germiston Lake in December, we had about 300 spectators on the water on the side. Germiston Saturday was cold. It was middle of the winter. We're looking at about 200. We dropped about 100. But, yeah, we're still picking it up. We're still getting the sport back onto the marketing field.
And have you got marketers looking out for sponsors and everything, Trevor?
At this point, no, not at this point of time. It's difficult. We know the economy is very bad.
Yeah.
Currently, with the juniors, we've got 2 sponsors involved, which is the CMH group and then E-Track anti-hijacking unit.
Yeah.
So they're the 2 main sponsors for all the events for this past season. And then we invite the hot bottoms and the F1s. We are looking at getting more sponsorships for the race. The event is the most expensive thing.
Yeah, but the other thing is you need to get television, because the television is actually good for the powerboats. A couple of cameras on the boats. I remember getting a drive, funny enough, they had a 2-seater, a ride rather, with Peter Lindenberg. And the acceleration was enormous. It pushes you back in the seat. But once you're going up on the sponsons, it's very smooth ride until you hit the buoys at the corner. And then you feel you're going to go through the side of the boat. G-forces are big time, eh?
We currently have a live stream on our events, on the junior events.
Yeah.
Obviously, cost is a big issue for us, but we've got a live streaming company, Planet Stream. They do all our live feeds, and we feed it straight to our website.
Yeah.
So we've got a live feed, and we actually had a good turnout on the last race. We had about 600 people worldwide looking at our racing feed.
Yeah, that's good. Very good. Listen, Maggie, where all have you raced this season around the country? Where have you as a family raced with your youngsters?
We raced basically all over. Well, we did 2 free provinces. We started at the Ball River.
Yeah.
We did a race there with the juniors. Then we went Witbank Racing there and Rhinefield and Germiston. These are the ones we did this season. We're trying to expand next season out a bit more. National races for the juniors are very difficult. Going down to Cape Town, Durban, and all those places cost-wise.
For sure.
I know the F1s are looking at PE, Cape Town, Durban, where we will see if the juniors can be accommodated to go down there to race.
Yeah.
But currently we're looking at expanding a bit more. Bonnecourt, Pretoria, Buffelspoort, Northwest. So we're looking at expanding a bit more to get some more interprovincial races up and going as well.
The thing about a water race is the track's basically all the same, eh? 2 or 3 buoys. It's not as if you're on an off-road, you've got to bump and read corners and that. Or what do you think?
Look, a water race is nice. Everybody thinks there's 2 or 3 buoys, but a water changes every second.
Oh, here you go, yeah.
You've got a wind factor, you've got waves coming in, you've got waves balancing back. Where with a road track or a car track, the track stays the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't change much. The only thing that will change here and there is when the wind changes a bit, but it doesn't change the physical track.
Yeah, but like a rally would change, rally change.
A rally would change.
Off-road racing.
Off-road bike will change. Every time the berm is different and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But with the juniors, you've got to take the kids' ages are between the age of 7 and 16.
Yeah.
The water changes every second for them, so they've got to navigate different turns, different wakes, different everything every time they come around the course.
Sure. We're talking to Trevor and Maggie Ackerman. Now, the Ackerman name has been in racing a long time. Your father was Boeta and your grandfather was Kip.
That's correct, yes.
I remember Kip very well in the motor racing.
Kip was mostly on the circuit tracks. He was racing cars.
Yeah.
He also brought in one of the first McLaren F1s years and years ago. My dad, Butch, he was on the micro midgets. He started off there, gone up to the Formula Fords, motorbikes. Then he started at OC hydroplanes in the early 80s.
It's funny, it's on the East Rand that most of the competitors come from. I mean, you just talk that the car guys, a lot of them came from the East Rand, motorcyclists as well.
That's true, yeah. If you take Powerboat Racing, the OC hydroplanes, Andre Loss, Boet Ackerman, Barry DeLaw, Colin Duncan, we all came from the inside of the country.
Yeah. Now, listen, just the classes. I mean, if people want to enter and get hold of a boat, how much would a junior boat cost for the motor to buy, more or less?
Look, if you at this point of time, if you buy a new setup, a new boat, you're looking at for a whole, you're looking at about 10, 15, 20,000. A new motor on the 15 horsepower Mercury's, you're looking anything from about 30,000 upwards.
So the motor's a big cost.
The motors are our biggest cost. But look, we've got second-hand boats running around in the areas. You're looking about 50,000 rand for a second-hand boat.
With a motor. With motor.
With the motor, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you must remember motocross bikes these days. I mean, my lighty used to race motocross and the bike cost about 1,000 rand. They're now about 100,000 rand, to get a good motocross bike. I mean, the costs have gone something else. Okay. Tell us the class you got. You did mention the juniors you got. What age group is that?
We've got the juniors racing. They're the little baby ones that started up with us. They're between the age of 7 and 14 years old. Oh. They race a 15 horsepower motor, doing an average speed of about 50 kilometers an hour on the water.
Quick, eh? Yeah.
So then the next step up from there is the GT15s.
Yeah.
The GT15s are from age group of 12 to 16.
Yeah.
Also 15 horsepower motors. We've got a bit of an open prop system there. And we run anything from about 55 to 65 kilometers an hour there, the kids.
Yeah. And then the next one is the F30.
Yeah, the Formula 30s are the next one. Those are open motors, 30 horsepower motors. They're the kids are anything from 12 years up to about 19, 20 years of age. And we run about 80 to 90 kilometers an hour on the water.
Yeah, it's quick, eh? It's quick. When you're in there doing it, you know you're doing. And then you got the hard bottoms. What is a hard bottom?
The hard bottoms is the normal. If you look at the old pleasure boats, the normal boats on the water, the outboard boats, and they're obviously souped up quite a bit, big motors on there. And they can start racing from 18 years upwards. So we've got no limits there.
Yeah.
I think our oldest pilot at this point of time, if I put a judge quickly, is Nico Vessel.
Yeah.
He's the old pilot from ski racing days, and I think he turned 68.
Yeah. My man.
58 over the weekend as well.
Oh, very good. Okay, and then the Formula One is what, unlimited, I take it?
Yeah, the Formula Ones are open. They obviously from the age of 18 upwards. I think at this current stage, Bruce Repsol's our oldest pilot at 45, I think.
Is he related to the Dave Repsol who had racing cars?
That's correct, yes. He's family of them as well.
Unbelievable. Okay, and then what motors you use on that?
Look, the current Formula Ones is the 3 liters. The Optimaxes, which is the stock standard motors for the Formula 2s overseas.
Yeah.
But I think there is 2.5s coming in now that's pushing us to the F1 H2O boats now.
Yeah, and what speed they do?
They average anything from about 185 to 200 kilometers an hour.
No chance, man. That's the
they
speed
do.
they're doing. That's flying along, eh?
It's flying low, flying.
Oh, man. Listen now, and are you finding you're gathering? It's mainly the mothers and fathers, the family getting involved. You need to have in most of the classes, eh? The lower ones.
Look, the family and friends and everybody is normally there. If you take, we've got a couple of people that's got multiple boats. So I've got, for example, 3 boats. So my staff and my friends and everybody gets involved with it.
Yeah.
They're in the water with us. And we actually had a nice one this weekend with Barry DeLaw, which was one of our ex-Springbok pilots.
Yeah.
He actually put out in wetsuits and came into the water with my kids.
Is it? That's great, eh? That's nice, the family thing. I just wanted to tell you, the Mercury guys know South Africa well. I remember going to Mercury, and their big one they visited here was the shark sport in Natal, KZN, because they had to launch off the beach into cold water, shark-infested water, etc. And you had to have that motor going full power off the beach, no warming up and that, you know. And every you asked about South Africa, they'd known. It was unbelievable, their attachment. And they knew every place where they sold Mercuries around the world and who serviced boats. They were unbelievable crowd, really, very close to the powerboat. Listen, I see you're going to have a new development program starting for next year. Who's going to run that?
Well, at this point of time, it falls under PBRSA, which falls under SESCOC.
Yeah.
I'm the chairman for the development side for all powerboat racing. That includes jet skis, rubber ducks, F1s, hard bottoms, and the juniors. So we are pushing hard to get a powerboat racing development back on. This program is starting now in the winter. I'm taking 10 kids, teaching them to race, teaching them to drive the boats. This will all happen at Germiston Lake at the aquatic club. And then we've got 2 pilots that we're actually starting to train race ready for E-Track Racing. They will be taking over my 2 junior boats, fully sponsored for them. Yeah. And E-Track Racing will be training them to start racing in a junior class.
And you, how many youngsters have you got in the powerboat?
I've got 3 of my own kids racing, but my team at this point of time that I sponsor, we're about 8 big.
Good, that's terrific. Eh? No, that's great. Okay, Trevor, well, when does your season start again?
Well, John, our season starts off in September, normally when the summer starts up. So we hope to finalise our program end of next month. Yeah. But we're looking at having an opening race at Rhinefield Dam.
At where?
At Rhinefield, you know.
At Rhinefield. Oh, yeah, no, that was popular for that. Okay, well, that's Trevor Ackerman, very involved. He's been involved with racing, of course, with Kip Ackerman, his father, But, in motor racing, and Maggie, the wife, and they're very into the powerboat racing. You need people involved to get on the administrator side, actually, because you understand how the sport works. Okay, well, Trevor, thanks very much. And Maggie, I hope your flu gets better soon. And we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks, Rodger.
That's Trevor Ackerman.